What's going on, everyone? It's official. The Boston Celtics are headed to their 22nd NBA Finals. That is right, the 22nd. That is unbelievable. Well, they eliminated the Miami Heat in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals and pretty much won from the start to the end. I mean, they were up double digits most of the game. Miami got it close couple times. Jimmy Butler even had an opportunity to take the lead late in the game under a minute, which would have, who knows what would have happened if that would have been the case. But Boston did what they had to do. They had a lot of inconsistencies, which I still have concerns on, and it's one of the reasons why I thought Miami was going to originally win Game 7. Obviously, I was wrong, but hey, I give the Boston Celtics a ton of credit. They got the job done. Tatum hit some huge shots. Huge shots. Shot clock winding down, everything. Their defense was absolutely smothering, and Miami just couldn't get anything going offensively. Outside of Jimmy Butler, nobody could score, and you got to give the Boston Celtics a ton of credit. Curious to see how their defense is going to hold up against all of the arsenal that the Golden State Warriors have. Now, Jimmy Butler deserves all the credit in the world. If it wasn't for him, this game would have been a 40-point blowout. Seriously, he did everything he could. Like I mentioned earlier, he even had an opportunity to take the lead late in the game, which could have given Miami the win for all we know. I don't like the shot. I didn't. I wish that he would have driven to the basket. He had no one in front of him except for Horford. You got to attack the basket. Trust the ref. Put it on the ref to call a foul or, finish and one, something along those lines, especially Jimmy Butler. He's been doing that all series, all game. I understand the logic. If you hit that, you probably win the game. You finally got the momentum. The crowd explodes. Boston's, in their slump, and it just changes the tide completely. But you work so hard to get back. You just got a big three from Strus, and now it's like, come on, get to the basket, attack the basket, put it in the hoop, and now you got a tie game, and just let the cards fold where they may. But that's taking nothing away from Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was a one-man machine this series, especially Game 6, especially Game 7. I really thought Boston should have won Game 6. I thought Boston blew it when they lost Game 6. I thought that was really their opportunity to close out and get this done. But they ended up doing it in Game 7. So give all the credit in the world to Boston. And Jimmy Butler, man, Miami needs to go get him some scoring help. Seriously, they really do. But I'm surprised they didn't go to Tyler Hero. I know he was struggling. I know he didn't play a couple games, came back in. I know he's a defensive liability, but you couldn't stop Boston regardless. They were making everything that they wanted to make, and nobody was scoring for Miami. He's a guy that could have easily gotten hot. You see the ball go through the hoop. All of a sudden, it hits 2, 3, 4. I don't understand why you don't play him at all in the second half. I can understand, maybe waiting, trying to see what develops, especially when Miami came up on that huge run early and ended up pushing it to 3. But, I just think at some point when you see your offense struggling, you got to make some changes. You got to do something. If you're Eric Spoelstra, you got to try to just make anything fit, anything work to try to get the job done, And Miami had that 3 taken back earlier. I'm sure that's going to be a talking point, but that wasn't the deciding factor of this game. Miami just could not score. They struggled. They couldn't stop the Celtics. That 3, I don't think, really would have made that much of a difference. Plus, it was so early in the game, and Boston went on a run after that, and they just kept doing that. Every time Miami would get it to, 5-3, whatever, all of a sudden Boston, boom, would go on another run, go an 8-0, 11-0 run, something crazy like that, and it's back to 13, it's back to 11, it's back to 15. It's like, you're not going to win games doing that. And you got to give Boston all the credit in the world. But Tyler Hero should have been in that game. You should have played him. I know he struggled early, but, it's not like you had a bunch of guys out there that were knocking down shots and doing everything they needed to do. Nobody was scoring outside of Jimmy Butler. So inserting him in, hope he gets hot, I could have lived with that. I could have at least said, hey, good job, you tried something. And look, I'm not a Miami fan. I had no skin in the game when it comes to this game. I didn't really care who won either way. I am a Laker fan, so of course I wanted Miami to win to some extent, but I love Brown. I love Tatum. I'm excited for them. Marcus Smart, I always wanted the Lakers to draft him back before when they took Julius Randle, but nonetheless, I'm excited for the Boston young core. It's that young core that just finally got over the hump. So big kudos to them. But they have the mighty Warriors ahead of them. And the Warriors are not Miami. The Warriors likely aren't going to struggle to score. They have guys that can just light it up. And yes, the big thing that Boston has over the Warriors is size, which I think is a huge thing. But they have bodies that they can throw at Tatum, they can throw at Brown, they can throw at Marcus Smart, guys like that, and really just make it difficult. I mean, even Draymond can guard Tatum if need be. You got Wiggins, you got Clay. So the Warriors are going to be good defensively if they can control the ball. Biggest problem with the Warriors is turnovers. They get very turnover happy. And if that happens against the Celtics, I think the Celtics have an excellent chance with their defense and just being able to get out in transition. They're young, they're hungry, they're big. They're everything you want for a championship contending team. But the Warriors, they have the pedigree. They've been there. They know it. They have the experience. You have a Boston team who is young and wet behind the ears. This is the first time they've ever been there. And the Warriors are there every other year, right? So this is going to be an interesting matchup. I think it's going to be an incredible series. I'm really looking forward to it. But I think you got to go with the Warriors, I mean, obviously Boston fans may feel differently. Obviously Warrior fans are going to think Warriors, of course, are going to win. But if you're not a fan of either, I mean, you got to, I just think unbiased look, you got to go with the Warriors just on, they have all the intangibles. They're going to make the adjustments. They got just a ridiculous amount of shooting and a ridiculous amount of scoring. And that was Miami's biggest problem. They just couldn't score. No matter what they tried, they just couldn't score. And it was just they don't have that offense that's free-flowing like the Warriors. Boston's going to have their work cut out for them on defense. Where Miami, it was a little more predictable. You knew what you were going to get. You knew what to expect. You knew what kind of sets and plays they were going to run. Where Golden State, they're constantly switching it up. They're constantly coming off of back screens and all this stuff to get Clay and Steph and Jordan all open shots. Wiggins had a huge coming out party. It was like the Golden State Warriors really grew during this last matchup, which is crazy to think of. It's like they were hitting their stride as the playoffs have gone on. And so they've got the rest, which is huge for them, right? Boston just played an intense 7-game series, got the job done, but I just think that that's going to play an effect. Warriors are going to be fresh. They're going to be healthy. They're getting Gary Payton the second back, which I think is going to be huge for them. Another defensive guy, another guy they can put on Smart and Tatum and Brown and things like that. But ultimately, I think it's going to come down to Steph and Clay. They're the two guys that the Warriors are going to bank on. Clay, we're seeing him come back. He looked like the old Clay the last few games. He's tremendous in closing games. He has one of the best stats in history as far as closeout games. So if it gets to a closeout game, Clay's going to show up. I think Steph is really going to just dominate in many ways. I think they're going to have their workout with these two guys. Jordan Poole, if he stays consistent and he stays hot, I think it's going to be tough. But I think ultimately it's going to come down to Steph and Clay. How are they going to perform? Because they're the guys that have been there. They're the guys that have the experience. Draymond's going to do Draymond, but he's not the guy that's going to go get you 30 points. These two guys are the guys that Golden State's either going to live or die by. And these are the guys that are going to have to show up, that are going to have to step up and get the job done. Of course, on Boston's side, Tatum and Brown. They're young. They haven't been here, but they are incredibly talented. Jason Tatum is just, he was hitting some ridiculous shots. Seriously, I was like, wow, this guy is unbelievable. I was like, he is that guy. And he needs to be consistent this playoff series because he's had some duds in this playoffs, and I don't think he can do that against the Warriors. He needs to be consistent night in and night out. Same thing with Jaylen Brown. They're going to have to be consistent night in and night out. They're going to have to play some defense. They're going to have to do what Boston does, but it's going to live and die on these two guys. Marcus Smart, he's going to have his good games. He's the Draymond, right? He's the guy that does everything, that is the pit bull, that, plays defense, guards multiple positions, that does everything other than, scoring heavily. Yeah, Marcus Smart can go and get you 20 points, but ultimately he's there to be that pit bull, to be that guy that it just hounds everybody is in front of him, is a guy that can go and get you some points, get the assists, things like that. Boston, my biggest concern beyond all of that we've touched on is they're just so predictable. It's a lot of Tatum and Brown isolation, a lot of get the ball to Tatum, let him figure it out, get the ball to Brown, let him figure it out. And I think that that's going to be a tough thing to accomplish with the Golden State Warriors. I think they're going to really have to mix some stuff up. They're going to have to change some stuff. Unless Tatum and Brown are just, dominating and hitting everything, and they're just, they really step up. But the Warriors are going to throw everything they have at these two. And so it's going to be up to them to really step up. But, pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think of the Boston Celtics eliminating the Miami Heat? What do you think their chances are against the Golden State Warriors? Who do you think is going to win the finals? Who do you got? You got the Warriors. You got the Celtics. Like I said, I got to ride with the Warriors. I think the Warriors will win it. Obviously, being a Laker fan, I hope the Warriors win it. But even just removing me being a Laker fan, just looking at it, I just think the Warriors have everything they need to win this year. I think that they have too many weapons that the Celtics are going to have a hard time keeping around with, guarding, sticking up with, where they're just a lot more unpredictable. Where the Celtics, you kind of know what to expect. You kind of know what's going to happen. You kind of know what you're going to get. But anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on just the game in general. It was a great game. Boston really got it done. You got to give the Boston Celtics a ton of credit, and I'm looking forward to this finals. I think it's going to be a really great finals, and hopefully it goes 7 games. I would love to see it go 7 games. But I think the Warriors get it done in 6. I really do. I think Boston's good enough. They're going to win 1 or 2 games. But I think 6 is a safe number for the Warriors. But, let me know if you think I'm wrong. Love to hear it. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Follow with the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports, from this wonderful community, and all of our discussions. See you all in the next one. Thank you.